Thank you, Laurel. Thank you both for your testimony. Mike, you mentioned energy development and stuff. I know that's important in Utah. And then you need water for energy development. And you talked about the Central Utah Water Project. Not funded in our bill, it's in the Energy and Water Bill, which I used to chair. Mm-hmm. What the hell's happening to the money we're appropriating every year?
That's what we'd like to know as well. It seems like, when they did the Central Utah Water Project, the state and the federal government got all of their projects completely funded, built, and they have their storages all throughout the state. But when it comes to the Ute tribes, we have almost nothing there. And so we have the oldest water right there in Utah dates back to the establishment of the reservation in 1861. So we have the senior priority water rights, but we're unable to fully utilize those water rights. And so all of the water is it's just underdeveloped, unused, and uncompensated right now.
And this is going to be a really ugly year in terms of water.
Yep.
I come from southern Idaho, and that, we don't have any snow on the ground up there. A lot of my staff have places in Utah, and they said there's been no snow down in Utah like there traditionally is and stuff. It's going to be a challenging year for sure, but do you have places that you would do water storage, that you'd work with the Army Corps of Engineers to build dams or?
So we're looking to see if we can get some storage in some of the existing reservoirs there in Utah, and the tribe is also actively exploring or creating our own storages, our own reservoirs. And at this moment,
how does that work with the Colorado River basin and the upper basin and lower basin, and how the water is divided and so forth when you start doing storage? Is that a challenge?
It certainly will be, and our reserved water right that we have in the Green River, which is one of the main tributaries to the Colorado River, right, is over 500,000 acre feet. So we're able to contribute a significant amount to that, and if we were to store that, it would definitely have an impact. But as of right now, the water's just flowing downstream, completely unfettered. And the recipients of that water is the folks downstream, the lower basin. And they've been receiving this water for all these years.
With junior water rights.
Mm-hmm. And it's not compensated water. And so, the simple fact of the matter is that the lower basin has simply over-allocated themselves. And now they're looking to continue to keep getting their cut. And up at the headwaters where we're at, we're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature. And a lot of our water cuts come from nature itself. As mentioned, we don't have the snowpack that we used to have, and just the hydrology of it all is really kind of working against us at this time.
Yeah, if you want to read an interesting history, read the development of the Colorado River water system in the upper basin and the lower basin. At the time, and I think it was like 1926 or something, when they decided to create the upper basin and the lower basin, because they were afraid that all the water was going to the Imperial Valley and everything in Las Vegas, because that was where it was going to be. So they divided it up, and at the time they said they believed that there's 18.5 million acre feet of water that go down the Colorado River every year. And people at the time said, no, that's not true. That's in the wet years. Mm-hmm. You're not accounting for the dry years. In reality, there's about 14.5 million acre feet that go down the river every year, but they have appropriated 18.5 million. That creates some problems for both the upper basin and the lower basin to some degree. So yes, it is a huge challenge, as you know, living in the West. As I said yesterday, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. It's going to be a real challenge this year. But Laurel, thank you for your testimony on the Tooele program and Hawaii program. It's very interesting how that works, and I enjoy listening to your testimony about how it's developing families.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Pingree?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much for your testimony. And I, too, concur. We hear a lot about Tauahi, and I just hope we can increase the funding and make sure it's available to more tribes. It just seems like it has such great benefits.
It really does, because there's 10 full sites getting full funding, 12 satellite sites, and there's over 400 tribes that receive some type of funding from Tauahi.
That would be great. So you're currently in the oil and gas?
Yes.
Yeah, got it. It's just that you need the water storage to get through summer and to expand.
Yes.
All right. Hear your need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Zinke?
I think I've seen the treaty. I think it was 1863. I think it was signed by Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
But it guarantees sovereignty. So on law enforcement, are you a 638 tribe?
Not for law enforcement, no.
Okay.
But the tribe, we do have tribally funded positions to supplement the current BIA police officers there. And so, we're expending our own resources just to provide the most basic minimum level of law enforcement that we can have. And obviously with the reservation that large and with the population size that we have, it's we just need more officers. Just to give me an idea of the size of the reservation, how many officers you have? So the reservation, the exterior boundary encompasses about 4.5 million acres. And we have, I want to say, 3 BIA officers right now and maybe 2 or 3 tribally funded officers. But at any given time, there's maybe 1 or 2 officers that are actually on duty to patrol that entire area and in our communities. Seems short. So on the hurdles of your sovereign nation, you should be able to develop the resources as you see fit. What are the hurdles on oil and gas right now? One of the big challenges that we have is simply just the bureaucracy of the BIA and the BLM to try to get some of these permits streamlined. That's one of our big pushes, and it's always been, is to be able to effectively manage our own resources. And the big challenge is that when oil and gas producers want to develop on state or private land, they can get their permits and everything done in a matter of weeks, whereas when they come to the tribal side, it can take months, sometimes even years, to get some of these applications through, and it just really bottlenecks everything. And with the recent cuts in BIA and with the shutdown and everything that happened last year, it bottlenecked all of the people there to process some of these applications and the permits. On the BIA side, there's simply nobody there to process the permits, and so there's a big need to keep those funded and get those positions back and get that hiring freeze lifted so that. And BIA is not the center of oil and gas development. So no. I think their skill set is in other areas other than permitting. Yes. Would you have the capacity, if we were to redo the permitting process on sovereign land, to coordinate and to have them coordinate, but you control the oil and gas permitting? I believe we would. We're not new to this game. The tribe's been in the oil and gas industry for nearly 100 years. Yeah, Mandans are the same way. There's a lot of resource tribes that certainly have as much skill or more skill than a bureaucrat sitting that doesn't know where Utah is. So we have very robust tribal departments that actively manage our mineral resources, and I do believe that we would have the capacity to effectively manage those resources if we were allowed to. So why is BLM involved in your permitting on sovereign land? What stake do they have? They have a pretty big interest in that because they tend to treat the reservation land as public land, and so BLM really does have a lot of say in the permitting process. But that's one of the areas too where there is that bottleneck there. It seems like things just don't move quickly enough, and we have 2 bottlenecks. You have if you're in the county property, you have maybe BLM, but you have BIA and BLM. Yes. So it definitely compounds the issue.
maybe we should relook at streamlining on sovereign territory, because I've seen the signature. I think Abraham Lincoln signed it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's the big monument at the end of the mall there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Mr. McCollum?
Thank you. First off, Chairwoman.
I don't think you're on.
Was on. I just have to get it closer. Chairwoman Yellowhorse, thank you for your comments on Tawahe. Yesterday, when Red Lake Nation was here, it came out of them wanting to take control over many of the programs that you talked about and make sure that families, council members, working with state and county at time for resources, whether it be SNAP or whatever, that there'd be one-stop shopping on that. But it's grown into so much more as each tribe makes it unique to their needs. So thank you for your words on that. I have a question. I was reading your testimony on water, sir, and how are you fixed for potable water? I mean, a lot of the water that we're talking about is in order to keep your industry going. Get that's important. But are you in the same straits? How's your potable water, your drinking water, affected by this?
So our culinary water and drinking water is primarily sourced through springs that we have there on the reservation.
So
but the problem that we have with that is aging infrastructure for our water systems. My grandfather was one of the people that put the water systems in, and that was back in the 60s. And so we have old, aging pipes that they're continuously breaking just because of the condition that they've deteriorated at. And there's a need for funding in those areas, too, to begin beefing up that infrastructure. It seems like every couple of days I'm getting an alert or an email from our water systems notifying the various communities that we have no water today because of a break.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering. I didn't know if it was same source or separate source. Either way, you have challenges and problems. So thank you both for your testimony, Mr. Chair. I'm going to leave during as the Montana tribes are coming up here. I mean, no disrespect. I have some Minnesota tribes because of the weather who are in my office right now who didn't get a chance to be here. And I'm really impressed. We know Mr. Elsie, who left, knows where Yankton is. So we're making progress here for the Dakotas, too, as well on this committee. So we will keep in touch with you, and I have your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Didn't mean to grab that from you. Yeah, just one thing I meant to ask you, and I lost my train of thought. That when you were talking about trying to get the federal SLEC applications approved, and you had some sitting there since 2022, I want to make sure we bring some of those things up when we have the BIA with us, because it just, we were worried about staffing challenges in the past. Seems like a lot of things were slow, and then there have been a lot of cutbacks in the last year. And I just can't imagine how something which sounds fairly simple, like an application like that, could be sitting there for that long. That's something you routinely experience?
Yes, not only with that process, but it seems like a lot of other areas when we deal with the federal agencies, things move at a very, very slow pace, and applications do have a tendency to just kind of languish out in the void somewhere. Yep. Another good example of that is the tribe put in an application, a Terra application. It's environmental. Helps with in the oil and gas industry, and the tribe put their application in nearly 20 years ago when this program was first announced, and we still haven't really received any word on it. What's interesting about that is my mother was the chairman at that time, wow. And now I'm sitting in the seat.
Your grandfather.
So it's intergenerational sometimes how long some of these applications and things take.
And I'm not going to excuse them on any of those. I know oil and gas and some of the environmental permitting. I mean, I can sort of understand why some of those things would take a while. But you made this sound like this was someone who was fully qualified to be covered as a law enforcement personnel And we know what the problems are of not having sufficient law enforcement personnel. So to think that somebody's sitting there in the position, ready to go, and it's just an application approval, that seems outrageous to me.
Yeah, all of our tribal fish and game officers, they go through the police academy. And a lot of times our tribal officers receive more training than our local highway patrol or, the county sheriffs. So, it's the discrepancy there is pretty big in kind of the standards it seems like the tribe has to meet, just
well,
to
the way you told
provide
the story
services.
that she was arrested for exceeding her authority when she had actually applied to be covered under that authority. So it just sounded like a crazy story.
Yeah, what had happened really quick is she came across two non-tribal members who were trespassing using, we have a no UTV or ATV policy as well. We have ordinances that cover that. And so these two individuals were joyriding. And so when the officer stopped them, they became combative and they attempted to run her over and drag her. And so she was forced to draw her firearm and open fire on them to protect herself. But she was dragged to the court system, and ultimately she had to take a plea deal.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well,
when she was acting in her official capacity.
Yeah. That just seems like a way to get more law enforcement officers on reservations, so maybe we can work on that. But thank you again. Thank you both for your testimony.
Yes, thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now it seems like we have Montana. Cody Shambo, Michael Dolson, Michael Cummett-Knight, and Justin Dupree. Is that right? Did I get those close?
Yeah, she did fine with me.
What's that? Yeah.